let me briefly introduce the agenda of today's webinar. For sure, we'd like to go deeper and discuss a bit more about current state and future of ERP. We've discussed a bit more about SAP Clean Core and extensibility approach. For sure, Sergey will make a focus on BTP, like a central extension platform. Dmitry will share a bit more about features released in this year. But before we start, let me quickly introduce our company. We are working very closely with SAP for SAP more than 20 years, and we're pretty happy with that. If you're talking about our expertise, I would like to mention that our team is working with BTP since it was called HANA platform. So you can imagine that we have a really huge experience in this matter.
Yeah, I'm glad to see all of you joining today's webinar. And with this, we would like to start with a short overview about our BTP Enterprise Innovation Center. We started nearly 12 years ago. This is the exact time that was mentioned by Alex. This is the time when the NEO environment was established as a part of the HANA Cloud Platform in the BTP. In what we currently know as a BTP. There were several variations, and now we have a Business Technology Platform as a central platform from SAP. This is the third name, and so currently we have around 90% of the BTP services coverage and slightly more than 200 of completed BTP use cases and end-to-end implementations as a part of our portfolio. We are covering currently all of the pillars of the BTP, including the enterprise automation, clean core, app development, integration, data analytics, and AI. And a couple of strong LeverX differentiators are that the LeverX is a company who you typically notice on different events, like, for example, Sapphire, on some industry days, on partner days as well, tied to the BTP. We're also participating in a wide range of programs, have access to the beta testing program of SAP BTP services, and we consider ourselves as the advocates of this solution in the SAP portfolio. And also we're doing some co-development and co-innovation with SAP, meaning that we have a very deep knowledge into the core processes and core solutions that SAP provides and sells to the customers. And also we have a portfolio of BTP's package service offerings. The whole expertise that we accumulated over the 12 years and all of these projects, we converted into packages that allow us to be in time to kickstart the project very fast and to be within the desired budget. This was the key idea around this package service offerings. And finally, we have also BTP Accelerator solutions. One of this is our data migration and integration platform, which is called DataLark. You can just find this in the internet. DataLark is fully based on the BTP platform and currently fills the gaps of the integration capabilities within the BTP solutions and services. We're also part of the SAP App House network, so we're focusing on the human-centered approach for the innovation, which is also based on the BTP. And you can find us in the partner finder of SAP with this expert competency level in the BTP area. Now, I just wanted to quickly highlight how we are helping our clients and what kind of methodology we are using to streamline the processes and convert to the cloud, to the BTP. And then, like, first of all, we're starting typically with learning. Since we have almost 200, more than 200 use cases and complete implementations in the portfolio, we have a lot of stories to tell, a lot of customer examples that we can just highlight. Maybe they will be convenient for somebody and similar to somebody's use cases. So it will be easier to start any projects if we see that somebody else already implemented something like that before. The next part is planning. So we're again using the App House, the human-centered design approach together with the enterprise architecture team that we currently have in order to create the right design of the potential solution. And on the next step, we're typically spending like a couple of weeks in terms of building the very lightweight prototype that can be based on our own sandbox environments that we currently own, which will help to get this look and feel of the potential solution, final solution that will be a part of the BTP delivery. And at the end, we are, of course, ending with testing and launching the solution and expanding and repeating the same solution probably for some other departments within the customer company, within the customer organization, and so on. Our main idea is not only to deliver this entire kind of step-by-step process only on our own. Our main idea of our department is also upskill the customers team on this journey by doing this co-development together. Now, I would like to start with the current and future state of SAP ERP. We will just briefly review the key trends and just see the overall picture where we are going. Probably some of you know the terms SAP R2, SAP R3, maybe a lot more heard something about SAP ECC as well. So what currently we see on the screen is kind of evolution process that started with the very first versions of the SAP ERP system many years ago, and which also highlights the SAP S/4HANA that was released in roughly 10 years ago as the most modern and the most new solution from the ERP, from the SAP in the area of ERP. And we see here different kind of improvements that SAP performed over the past 30 plus years. For example, they started with a client-server architecture with the R3. They provided this SAP GUI with a nice user-friendly interaction here as well. SAP started to use this NetWeaver for the web-based functionality in the ECC component. So they started with this modularity approaches and split the system into many modules depending on different lines of business. And finally, in the S/4HANA, we received this ERP system that is built on top of the in-memory database, which is called SAP HANA. We received this new modern SAP Fiori UIs for the user interaction, and we received many different kind of deployment model as well, including cloud, on-premise, hybrid modes, and so on. So this is kind of step-by-step approach that we saw over the last 30 plus years. And now the main question is, what do we have at this moment? So we have the S/4HANA, which supports multiple areas, multiple types of different deployments. First of all, this is a very well-known on-premise deployment option for us, meaning that you have the S/4HANA that is installed and maintained by your organization or by some third-party provider, and you're doing basically the upgrade cycles on your own. And now there are two new offerings, the cloud environment, the cloud S/4HANA version that might be public or private one. There are also two programs from SAP. One is called the Grow with SAP, which is more related to the public cloud version of S/4HANA. Another one is Rise with SAP, which is more related to the private cloud version of the S/4HANA. And these actually two versions, this public and private cloud, might be the most interesting for us today. And I can explain you why. Like, first of all, what gives us this S/4HANA cloud? If we go with the cloud, first of all, we of course receive an enhanced performance. We don't need any longer to care about adjusting this, fine-tuning the infrastructure for the performance. It's all can be done, of course, by us, handled by SAP. And this is another kind of plus here in this area. Then we have also streamlined processes. We receive this simplification and standardization. The upgrade cycles supposed to be shorter and easier. We do not need to plan any longer, for example, for this complex kind of upgrades that need to be happening and so on. This is the idea of S/4HANA. Also, one of the main ideas here is faster innovation consumption, meaning that, of course, if you're using latest version of the ERP system, SAP can deliver those innovations faster to you compared to if you're sitting on premise and if you're doing upgrades like one time per 3 years. And of course, S/4HANA Cloud also includes this reduced IT complexity costs and simplified support model. So there are many pluses that S/4HANA Cloud produces, and actually the S/4HANA Cloud will be the next generation, the next evolution process in the overall kind of portfolio of the SAP ERP systems. I guess this fast innovation might be one of the top priorities for SAP. Here, the willingness to deliver the innovations to the customer, not one time per many years, but every year, let's say, at least, or every half a year, depending on which version of the S/4HANA you are using. Now, how do we do the extensibility? Because of course, many of you might understand if you're going cloud, and then there might be some limitations in terms of how the customizations can be delivered here for this version. And let's just check what are the options here to deliver this extensibility. Like, first of all, we would like to start, what is extensibility in general and why do we need that? Of course, there is a scope that is called SAP delivered scope. So this is something that SAP already includes as a part of their delivery, the part of their current version of the S/4HANA. And this scope can be interacted with the required scope that your business people at the company or your stakeholders need at the end. Required scope might be bigger and might be not covered fully by the delivered scope, of course. And this is something that we call an uncovered scope. This is something that creates the need to be covered via some extensions or via some customizations. And of course, the main need here to deliver some sort of differentiation packages here, like a small customizations that can one by one cover this required scope that we have in general. So this is something that we need to consider as extensibility approaches, and main idea with extensibility will be cover as much as possible this uncovered scope based on our priorities, based on what our business need, and based on different other factors that might be related to the business. How we explain the clean core is very simple to one of the principles in software engineering, as one of the solid principles actually. It says that the entity should be open for extension and closed for the modification, meaning that the class, for example, should be easily extendable, but we should not introduce any kind of custom code into the class. Otherwise, everything will be broken, and this is a kind of a very bad practice. The same approach goes here as well. So the clean core is everything about the practice to make the extensions in a right way, in a governed way. So we will actually avoid, first of all, any sort of extensions if it's possible. And how we can do that, of course, by inviting functional consultants as much as we can to our processes, discussions and our customizations. Many companies are using the principle like business need, and then business talks directly to the software engineer who is using ABAP, and this software engineer can easily go into the system and make some customization to create this new differentiation scope. But this is not the right way. The right way is add functional consultant here between both of them, so they can communicate via the functional consultant, and the functional consultant will actually be responsible to say, yes, this is kind of something that we can achieve easily in the system, or no, we should not do that. We should slightly adjust our business processes, probably make some small modifications there, and then we will just avoid any sort of customizations that might result then in unneeded costs for the entire projects when we will be doing the next time upgrade of our S/4HANA system. So this is something that completely different probably to the methodology that is used nowadays, but this is one of the first steps. The next thing will be to be aware of the functional depths that we're creating. Let's say that if we already have, if we need to create still some modification, and if it's not possible without direct integration with the core of our S/4HANA system, then we need to be sure that we will revisit this in the next couple of months, next year, and so on. Probably with the next upgrade, we will receive the feature that will be that will allow us to get rid of the customization that we just created. So we'll really need to establish a governance framework, which will help us to manage this technical debt that we will create in the right way. Another thing is just to be sure that we know how to decouple the extensions from the core. Let's say how to leverage the BTP as a main platform and implement so-called side-by-side extensions, which is completely different methodology compared to the traditional methods that we are using in S4HANA. For example, it's using a completely different kind of user base. Of course, some synchronization between these two things might be possible, but the key thing that when we are decoupling the extensions and moving this to the BTP, then not our user base are working with the transactions with the standard Fiori GUIs and so on, but we have a separate user experience that is moved to the cloud. And of course, we need to be cloud ready, meaning that we need to be ready that our data might be moved to the cloud, if not fully, then at least partially, and so on and so forth. Now, quickly about the migration approaches. So first of all, it's easier, of course, when we're doing a new implementation of S4HANA. For example, we have the ECC, we're migrating to S4HANA. It is clean by default. So what's needed at this point is establish the framework which will help us to implement all of the modifications in the right way from the beginning. If we will not do that, then we will be again creating this technical debt and we will need to revisit this in the future. So this will be very important, even if you're using like on-premise version. This is must-have at this moment. Create some internal COE that will supervise all of the developments that are happening in the world of your S4HANA system. So it will be easily adjusted and managed in the future. If we're doing a system conversion, which is more called brownfield approach, meaning that we step-by-step converting our ECC system to S4HANA, of course, we will need to convert our previous ECC developments to some kind of cloud way as well. This can be done again by multiple approaches, and again, step-by-step approach will help us to reduce this technical debt, to analyze what kind of business objects in past implementations we need to move, which will still be left as a technical debt for the future, and we'll be waiting for some newer features to be available on the S4HANA, so we can actually move them to the cloud world as well. And we also have selective data transition, basically that assumes that we have multiple systems and they go into the single S4HANA. So basically the same approach like in the brownfield, but we have a little bit more complexity because we also need to consider different other systems as well. Like I said, when you're doing a greenfield or a new implementation, it's pretty easy story, seems to be, right? So we need to consider this as a unique opportunity to begin doing the extensions in the S4HANA in the very right way from the day one. And we need to establish the way how we'll follow these clean core principles, how we'll design software, how we'll simplify probably some approaches, some customizations, and so on. We need to establish the strong governance model, which means that there should be a process that will be supervised, that there will be access to the newest technology, that there will be a person, the company at least, who will understand all of these newer features and will be available for review for all of the developments that are happening within the system. So we are calling this kind of clean core COE in the company. And the last thing, prefer BTP as default options for the extension. So there are multiple approaches, and I will talk in a minute a little bit about that, but BTP should be considered as a default option for every extensions we are doing here in the greenfield approach. Similar thing might be done for the brownfield. So we need to establish the way that we will consider clean core principle for every new development that we are doing. And for all of the existing developments that we are currently have in our system, we need to plan this cloud journey by just doing some internal assessments. And again, SAP provides a lot of different tools how this can be done, like cloud migration application, the ATC checks. Of course, it will not work 100% in all of the scenarios. So based on our practice, like one-by-one analysis of every object that is implemented in S/4HANA system will be still needed in order to understand whether it can be migrated to the cloud or not. So this is really like complicated process, I would say, that need to be established at the very beginning and then repeated for every program that we did based on the priorities. And of course, like in the previous one, BTP should be considered as a default option for every new extensions. So if not, then there might be some other options how this can be done. Now, of course, there might be a situation that clean core and this cloud readiness implementation, the functionality in the cloud world might be not possible. So what then we should do? We need to ensure that we will collect all of these kind of cases and be sure that there will be a lot of unused programs at the end that is part of your S/4HANA system right now. So probably it will be easier to start by cleaning up the S/4HANA system from these unused programs, unused code, and then consider the programs that you are actually using as a first iteration. If you will find that one of those programs cannot be migrated to the cloud and you have so-called kind of technical debt, then we need to establish the way that we'll be supervising this, and for the future, with the next upgrades, we'll be revisiting one more time and probably getting rid out of this, or maybe converting this to the cloud version, to the cloud implementation as well. So the standard extensibility portfolio in S/4HANA connected with multiple approaches. First of all, this is the S/4HANA on-stack extensibility approach, and the BTP, so-called side-by-side extensibility approach. Like I said before, the BTP should be considered as a top one priority when you are implementing the different solutions based on the amount of different capabilities it currently has. S/4HANA on-stack extensibility can be considered in several scenarios. For example, if you have, if you need to still use the internal user base, you don't want to move the users to the cloud. If you need to support this large SQL kind of manipulations. So there are many different criteria of when the on-stack extensibility can be used. And again, on-stack means not only ABAP development. On-stack comes with a low-code offering like user extensibility, which we can use directly from the user interface, and it's pre-packaged for the usage of the business user. And we have so-called the developer extensibility, which is based on ABAP Cloud. This environment helps us is dedicated to implement the solutions using the ABAP programming languages, and which will communicate with the S/4HANA components via the local and public APIs. So this will be a really guaranteed way of how the ABAP programs should be implemented. Now, there will be still the classical ABAP, and in the classical ABAP way, there's also some approaches that are clean core accepted, but this will require a lot of supervision, and a lot of kind of governance need to be put around this, because there are many approaches that are currently not recommended by SAP at all, meaning that we should avoid them as much as possible. And in the BTP world, we have the same picture. We have a low-code or no-code, low-code offerings, which are all offered as a part of SAP Build portfolio, like Build Apps, Process Automation. We have a Build code that was released recently this year, that is based on several cloud environments, which allows us to run the cloud programs here. And we have also a ABAP cloud environment in BTP that is very similar to one that you can see at the left-hand side. So they're almost identical. There are some differences in how the internal life cycle of the programs is organized, or how this environment is organized. It's a little bit more complicated probably on the BTP side, but the capabilities are the same of cloud ABAP environment in the BTP and on stack on S/4HANA. You will see many times this three-tier approach picture, and it depicts the situation then how to deal with the existing implementations if you already implemented some programs in S/4HANA. So tier one is very simple. There is a S/4HANA on-stack approach, cloud ABAP environment, and also the BTP approach. So if you implement the tier one applications, then they're like clean core compliant, so no issues here and so on. If your application requires some API communication with a backend system or some table communication, some internal objects communication, that you can implement this wrapper that is called tier 2. And by decoupling the program into wrapper and the business logic and UI helps you to reduce the amount of technical debt. So wrapper probably will be only 10% after the entire program. And only leaving this 10%, of course, reduces the risk of the technical debt by 90%. This is the another approach. And next approach, tier 3, this is a classical ABAP environments which are not possible to migrate. A classical example of the technical debt, for example, we can renovate easily if there are some APIs available, if it's possible to do it in new cloud and BTP world. We can just re-implement these tier 3 applications, so they will be actually the tier 1, or we can retire them if they are not longer needed. And definitely this is the tier 2 and tier 3, they need to be governed in terms of somebody need to supervise how the things are on this side, because this is a technical debt that needs to be addressed, of course. And finally, I would like to finish with the application development and SAP BTP solutions portfolio. This is one of the 5 pillars in the BTP portfolio that BTP offers at this moment. And like we briefly discussed, there are some low-code offerings that help you to build web and mobile applications. That offering that help to build the cloud portals, offering that help you to design workflows and RPAs. This is all connected with SAP Build Apps, Build Work Zone, and Build Process Automation. In the pro code side, we have this build code, which currently has this JavaScript runtimes, capability to run and create the front-end applications, completely custom applications and microservices. And we have, of course, this environment to run the programs. It might be the ABAP environment, it might be the cloud environment and Kima environments for the cloud programs. And we have this whole set of different background services like HANA Cloud as a database, connectivity service to work with on-premise environments, mobile services, DevOps services, and additional things, offerings from the BTP side, like the data sphere and like integration suite. So this entire portfolio is currently already available, and it covers, I think, a lot of different use cases. If you are talking about the extensibility of S/4HANA. Now, I just wanted to hand over to Dmitry, who will talk a little bit more about the highlights on 2024 and the plans for 2025.
There is a nice tradition at the end of the year to sum up the results of this year and to talk what was great within this year, and we are not an exception at LeverX BTP Enterprise Innovation Center. So we decided to recap on BTP highlights and new features released in this 2024. And I guess it will be fair to say that if we are talking about BTP in particular and SAP in general, this year can be called a year of AI. And if you look at this screen where we collected the most interesting, according to our opinion, features released in BTP, you can see that most of them are more or less connected with artificial intelligence. So the first one and the second one, they are purely features for development related to artificial intelligence. So SAP Generative AI Hub, this is kind of gateway to different LLMs. SAP decided not to jump into this competition and build their own LLMs. Instead of that, they allow their users to get benefits of using existing LLMs from different providers to be able to build their own AI use cases. And the second innovation in the same field is SAP HANA Cloud Vector Engine. So this is a very powerful mechanism of SAP HANA database that allows us to work with vectors natively without the necessity to involve any third-party libraries to manipulate with these vectors as we did before. The next one, SAP Build Code, and this is a very powerful tool that Sergey has already mentioned, and I will show you a very quick demo how this tool works. In a nutshell, this is just a new generation of SAP Business Application Studio, and this enhanced IDE significantly improves the efficiency of development for professional developers because it has embedded AI capabilities with usage of Joule copilot that allows us to build a basis for the pro code applications using natural language prompts. Another interesting features in this AI world is API anomaly detection available in SAP Integration Suite. This is kind of a monitoring mechanism that allows you to detect any spikes in your APIs and not only detect the fact that some particular problem occurred, but also to get some recommendations how to avoid such problems in the future. Also, we have generated AI capabilities integrated in different BTP services, for example, in SAP Build Process Automation, where generative AI can help you to build your workflows and to give you some speed up of the process, again, thanks to the same mechanism that you can just use natural language to be able to build your workflows. And the last but not least, SAP DataSphere Knowledge Graph. So at the first glance, it might seem that this is not something directly related to the generative AI, but in reality, it's not the case because sometimes it's very difficult to get meaningful responses from the AI tools like ChatGPT, for example, because they don't have any background, right? So that means that to be able to get meaningful result, we need to provide as much context to our chatbot as possible, and this is exactly what SAP DataSphere Knowledge Graph allows us to do, because it has the information about the data, the connection between different entities, and what is even more important, about the metadata, so it can help us to understand the context of the particular data. So now, as I promised, we are going to talk about SAP Build Code, but before we come to this SAP Build Code, I would like to briefly discuss the SAP Build portfolio in general, because based on the information we received from SAP, SAP Build portfolio is one of the most growing parts of the BTP. So you can see on this slide that this is not only about the money, but also about the interest of users and customers. So you can see that the number of active users of this particular portfolio is growing quite fast. And this is the reason why there are so many innovations in this portfolio was introduced within this year. So you can see here all the solutions which are parts of this portfolio, namely SAP Build Process Automation, SAP Build Workzone, SAP Build Apps, fully new solution introduced this year, SAP Build Code, and also there are some new features introduced to the portfolio as a whole. And now, as I promised, I will show you the quick demo about how to use SAP Build Code solution. But again, just a few words about this solution itself. So this is next generation of SAP Business Application Studio, as I said. So based on that, you can understand that it's more oriented for cloud application programming model development using Node.js and Java, as well as it supports mobile development, and it has very good integration with SAP APIs and different services. For example, you can easily integrate your applications built using this SAP Build Code solution with your S/4HANA systems, whether it is cloud or on-premise system. There are different tutorials that help you to become familiar with this tool, and also many templates that can easily allow you to build your applications very quickly. But definitely the killer feature of this solution is the integration with SAP Copilot called Joule, which works based on the generative AI. And this tool allows you to build your applications really quickly, to generate data models, services, user interfaces, as well as mock data to quickly test your application. So now I'm going to present how this solution works. So I recorded this short video. Now we are in SAP Build Code and we are going to create our application. For that, we just need to use a prompt and we need to write the description in human natural language what we are going to build. So in our case, we are going to build an application with two main entities like maintenance orders and vendor offers to allow vendors to send their offers for available maintenance orders so that later on the right offer can be selected. So I just write this text and you can see that two entities created and they created with the fields required for these entities. And we have all the details needed for creation these CDS views and also for our database tables. So we don't need to write any code for that. So once the services and entities are created, we would like to enhance our mock data to be able to test these applications. And you can see that, again, we don't write any code, we don't manipulate with any CSV files, etc. So we can use this wizard, and later on we can use enhancing mechanism, which is again working based on prompts to make this mock data more meaningful. So this is exactly what we write here. We just need meaningful entities, and we also provide some explanation how the data is supposed to be populated. So for example, for open status, we are not able to see any last offer received date because it's nonsense, and this is what we wrote. And we get this mock data, and now we just need to add the logic. Again, so if you're talking about the classical application, we need to know JavaScript or any other programming language to be able to write this logic. But thanks to this tool, we don't care about the programming language syntax itself. We don't care about how the particular file to be called or to be organized. So we just, again, provide the prompt where we describe the logic of the particular action. In our case, this is the creation of the offer. And we will see that the code is generated for us, and we just need to review and accept this code. And the last step of this journey is just creation of UI application. So here, again, we don't need to write any code. We are not supposed to be front-end developers. We don't need to know SAP UI5 or Fiori concept, whatever. So we just use this wizard. We go step by step. We select the desired template, and we just like based on our understanding, select what are the entities that are supposed to be used, and that's it. So you can see how simple we've created one application when we just repeated the same for the second application. And after that, we are ready to run these two applications to see how they work. So you see that we spent very little of time, but now we will receive the fully functional applications. So definitely they are not the applications which are ready to be deployed to your production and for the productive usage. But anyway, this is a very good basis for further enhancements of the professional developers. So currently we are in orders application, and see we have here 10 maintenance orders created, and we just can select one of them. And if you navigate here, we can see that there are some offers already sent, but we would like to send another offer as a vendor for this particular maintenance order. So this is what we do. We go to offers and we just create a new offer. So we populate all these fields and we link this offer to a particular maintenance order. And it is created, and you can see the status is automatically sent to submitted. This is what we defined in our logic. And now if we go back to the orders application, we can see that actually this maintenance order now has one more offer sent. And if you go to the list of offers to this maintenance order, we can see it here with the right details. So we spent like a little bit more than 5 minutes to create this application. Again, I'd like to repeat that this is not the application ready for production yet, but still, if you would write all this code, including boilerplate code parts, it will take much more time for us, right? So, and now let me go next. And I would like to talk about what we did at LeverX BTP Enterprise Center this year. So we also focused on AI, and we were able to utilize these newly introduced solutions such as Generative AI Hub as well as Vector Engine to build our own solution, which was very well accepted by the audience. But let me first start with the background. We all know that time is the most valuable asset, and we all would like more to concentrate on our family or maybe more creative tasks, as we are talking about the daily routine, but not on something very annoying and time-consuming. And actually, this is not just our thoughts. We proved the same while conducting different design thinking workshops with many different participants following this SAP human-centered design thinking methodology. And what we understood from all these workshops that there is one quite similar use case to many different customers. So basically, they all want to talk to their data. And sometimes the problem is that this data is not always structured. So it might be different texts, images, videos. So it's not just always table format data that you can easily put to the database table and use SQL queries to get the information from this database table. So in this particular example, we are talking about cut files, but again, this is just a specific use case. So it might be extended to many different formats. So first of all, we came with the idea that we have some storage where the data in different specific formats are stored. And we understand that we need to have kind of standalone or embedded assistant to be able to talk to this data. And we started to make this architecture more and more clear, adding more and more components to be able to finally get the solution. And first of all, we understood that we need somehow to have this data to be stored in a readable format so that we can easily connect to this data. And definitely we understand that we need to have a data storage. And if you're talking about BTP solution, probably this data storage should be located somewhere in BTP. And after that, we understood that to be able to get this data in the data storage, we need to convert this data. And here our own homegrown solution, DataLark, came into play because it has many capabilities to convert the data, to prepare the data from one source to the target, and also from one format to another format. And we understood that we would need to be able to use this data to provide as a context if you're talking about the connection to the large language models. So we are going to use here so-called retrieval augmented generation technique to be able to get or to ground our LLM with the data specific to our organization. So this is the high-level explanation of the retrieval augmented generation itself. So basically that repeats what I've just said. So we have an LLM from one side, we have a consumer who'd like to receive the information from this LLM, and definitely LLM has no idea about your specific business context. That's why we need to accomplish our queries with this context, and this is where the retrieval augmented generation technique comes into play. And finally, at the end of the day, we receive this architecture. So on the left-hand side, we have SAP on-premise solutions where the data is stored, I mean, these cut files. And on the right-hand side, we have BTP with all its components used for this solution. Namely, we have AWS Bedrock as LLM, to which we connect using SAP AI Core Generative AI Hub, which I've mentioned as one of the key innovations of this year. We use SAP HANA Cloud to store our vector engines and also to utilize this similarity search mechanism. And also we have SAP Build Work Zone, where the standard SAP S/4HANA Fiori application is located, to which we have embedded our digital assistant. And in the middle, we have DataLark that helps us to convert the data from these cut files, so extract the metadata, and then later on put this data along with embeddings or vectors created to our SAP HANA Cloud. So now let me show you the scenario. So the scenario is following. I'm a BOM engineer and I'm going to create a new BOM. And for that, I would like to see if there is something similar in my storage. So, and I'm going to create this BOM for another model of Audi. And I'm just checking what is currently available by the keyword of Audi. So here I can ask the question, and based on this question, I can get some results that can ideally help me to proceed, because I can understand what I can use as a donor or as a, let's say, replacement, which spare parts are suitable to the particular model I'm going to create. So here I can see the preview as an image, and I also can download the particular cut file, for example, for later adjustments. And I can see the information directly in the replies, which can help me to create the new BOM based on my particular requirements. So it provides me with all the details. I no longer need to go to this private software. I don't need to search through thousands of different cut files to find what I need. So as simple as you've seen, so I can just ask the questions using natural language and get the required information to be able to easily create this new bill of material. So that's all about artificial intelligence and how it helps us. All right, so now going next. So we already know what was introduced this year, but definitely we are wondering what is awaiting for us in the future. And based on what SAP says, the next year is supposed to be full of innovations, and definitely these AI expansions will be there as well. So this is not the full list, definitely, of all BTP innovations for the next year, but we tried to collect the most interesting, the most exciting, according to our understanding. So the first two of them are focused on the analytics and data. So the first one is about the possibility to make predictions and simulations based on so-called Monte Carlo mechanism that allows you to change different parameters to simulate the future and to see the results. So this is a very user-friendly interface that allows non-technical people, not people with deep knowledge in analytics, to see what might come if the particular situation happens. And this next feature related to the seamless planning integration with SAP DataSphere, it's a more technical story, but it helps to improve the performance significantly, because thanks to this feature, you can now have all the data in one place in DataSphere. So even if you're talking about the planning, this data is no longer supposed to be stored in your SAP Analytics Cloud. It can be stored in DataSphere. So, and that allows us everything to be in one place. The next one is also quite interesting. It's related to the integration area, in particular about the events, because you may be aware that this event-driven architecture becomes more and more popular, and many customers already use either event mesh or advanced event mesh from integration suite. And to close the, let's say, gap between two event meshes, SAP decided to provide the bridge between the standard event mesh to the advanced event mesh, which is located in the SAP integration suite. And I had an interesting discussion literally yesterday with one SAP colleague who is somehow connected to this integration suite team. And I asked him directly whether there are any plans to decommission the classical event mesh. And he said no, but still there are some intent to, let's say, encourage customers to use SAP Integration Suite Advanced Event Mesh, and that might be one of the reasons why they decided to introduce this bridge. Besides that, we have super cool feature SAP S/4HANA Extensibility Wizard, which is already available in SAP S/4HANA Cloud 24 or 8, but we decided to provide this innovation as a part of 2025 innovation, because there are some talks, or let's say rumors, that this particular feature is going to become available in SAP S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition as well. I will talk about this feature in more detail a little bit later, but now I just would like to conclude this innovations list we collected for today with two interesting news. The first one is that you have already heard that even this year, Joule has been integrated in many different tools and services, such as BTP services, as well as different SAP cloud solutions. But within this year, there is a plan to enable this Joule for SAP BTP cockpit itself, so to allow the administration of the SAP BTP, for example, user management features or any configurations, become more user-friendly. And the last information I would like to share with you, that within this year, it is planned to open 10 more data sensors in different countries like Australia, Brazil, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and this will allow clients from these regions to have their services and applications to be deployed in the desired location. And now, as I said, I would like to give you a little bit more information about this SAP S/4HANA extensibility feature, which is really cool, because previously what you could do directly from your SAP S/4HANA system, you could only use the so-called on-stack extensions, as Sergey explained earlier. So you could create these custom fields, custom logic directly from the system. But now, once this SAP S/4HANA extensibility wizard has been introduced, we have a possibility to create even side-by-side extensions directly from your SAP S/4HANA system. And what is the most cool, you can use this from the particular application and give the context of the particular application to this new extension. So for example, if you're going to create, let's say, custom process as shown on this slide, you can easily go to the application like it is shown here, for example, manage sales orders. And if you want to run some workflow based on the fact that sales order has been created, you can easily do that from here. And you can just go through the wizard step by step. And at the last step, the build process automation artifacts will be created, and you will be directly navigated to your SAP BTP build lobby, where you will find these artifacts, and you can proceed directly from there just to adjust this workflow according to your needs, but you don't need to find any related APIs or events to be able to build this workflow from scratch. So this is a very nice feature. As I've said, we are looking for many more innovations this year. And I'm absolutely sure that we will hear many news from SAP in regards to BTP innovations. That's it from my side. So I'm ready to hand over to Sergey. Sergey, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I would like just to conclude with the package service offerings that we currently have at LeverX. Yeah, we can see here that we are offering here the starter packs and so-called advanced packs, which are related to many different areas of BTP development. For example, starter packs is related to the BTP readiness, clean core extensions, and AI capabilities. This is the very easy things to start to educate internal teams to understand what might be the strategy here, what might be the next step towards the knowing more about the BTP or about AI and about clean core extensions, and so-called advanced packs as well that includes many steps. And the recent offering that we currently have is the future-ready BTP practice. So we are helping the companies to establish their own center of excellence in the BTP, basically because we already created a team which contains several hundred people which are working on the BTP projects, and we already know how to do that. That's basically it in this area. If you would like to know more, please feel free to connect to us. We'll be happy to answer the questions.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you, Dmitry, for your participation at our webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Alex. Bye.